Hi, welcome to Tropical Toucan. Let's jump in and get started. The first thing you're going to need is your acrylic paint. I've got black, titanium white, phthalo green, I've got a deep yellow, a light yellow, orange, phthalo blue, and raw sienna. You're also going to need a variety of paintbrushes, a paint palette, some water, and a paper towel to get started. The first thing you want to do, if you haven't done so already, is you want to transfer your image onto your page here. I'm working in a journal, and I personally like to just tape off my edges so I get a nice crisp edge, but that's totally optional and up to you. And if you've got all that ready, we are going to jump right into creating this background. We are going to start by doing some color mixing. So we're going to use our deep yellow, and I'm just going to put some here on my palette. You're also going to need, for this step, some titanium white. And let's see, let's get some orange on there. And then we're also definitely going to need some of this phthalo green. Alright, the first thing that I'm going to do is mix up my primary background color. And so I'm going to want a nice big scoop of white, probably about 4 parts white to 1 part of this deep yellow. We're going to create kind of a banana yellow is what we're going for. Once you get your banana yellow, we are going to just kind of divide this in half. Does not have to be perfect. And then I am just going to lightly paint everything on this side. I'm going over the edges of my leaves slightly because I don't want there to be a halo in the background, but when we do our leaves, that will cover up really easily. I just want to be able to still see that outline. And once we get this, you don't need to paint over your toucan, but you do need to paint over almost everything else. We're going to get a nice clean layer of this, and I say clean layer because we're not mixing into it quite yet. So get a nice clean layer of this banana yellow, and then just maybe in little bits, let's mix in some of that orange. Just in parts. There's no right or wrong. Also, let's mix in a little bit of white. We're just kind of blending in these colors to create just a variety in that background. If you use too much orange, just add in a little more yellow. There's no right or wrong here. You just start going for a nice multicolored background. And once you get that done, we're going to do the background on the other side, and all we have to do is just add a touch of that phthalo green to that banana color we created. And then we are going to finish the other side of the painting with green. once we get our green on there, we're going to do kind of a similar process. So we are going to just tap in a little bit of white. You can blend in a little bit of that banana color. We're really just, again, blending in some colors, changing up this background a bit. You can even tap in just a little bit of phthalo if you wanted to add a little bit more of that green tone. Totally your call. We're really just blending in a nice, smooth background here. Alright, that is the first step. I am going to let this dry and then we'll move on to step 2. Great, next we are going to mix up some raw sienna, and I'm going to need some black. Now for this I don't need very much black, but we're going to use some later. So you're going to want to use a thin brush. So I'm going to use a thin round, and here's my raw sienna, and I am just going to tap it in black and then mix it in. I just want to darken that raw sienna ever so lightly. I'm going to use this round brush and that raw sienna mix to go over some of these leaves. Now I can still see my tracer lines through my paint. If not, feel free to freehand a little bit. I'm going to start up here on the upper left so that I'm not putting my arm in wet paint. And I'm just going over these leaves with my raw sienna. Now I'm not filling them in, we're just doing outlines. Kind of just a sketchy type of leaf here. And it's okay if when you paint it, it changes a little bit. It's also okay to create your own design if you don't like the one given. Doing one on the upper left, and then we have kind of a banana leaf shape over here on the upper right. Got a large leaf down here. we still have some leaves remaining, and what we're going to do for that is we are going to mix about half and half of the phthalo green with the titanium white for that. What we're going to get is kind of a dark mint. Is what we're aiming for. What we're going to do is just go over those remaining leaves. Again, this time be careful because you do have some that are wet. You don't want to put your hands in wet paint or lean your arm over in wet paint. So what we're going to do is we are going to take this mixture and I'm going to add just, again, a tiny pinch of Mars Black to that dark mint that we had. And we are going to paint this branch here that this guy is sitting on. So we just want to darken this a little bit. You can add a touch of phthalo back in there as well. You just want to take this down maybe about 2 shades. And what we're going to do is just go right across and paint this branch. While this is still wet, I'm going to add in some titanium black right along the bottom edge. Wipe off my brush, and then I'm just going to come back and kind of blend that in a little bit. I want the bottom of the branch to be shadowed. I'm going to wipe off my brush again, and I am just going to add a pinch of titanium white on my brush. And then I am going to blend in some white along the top edge and lighten that. That's where there would be a highlight. And I don't add any highlight in between this small section here because it would still be shadowed by Mr. Toucan's body here. Alright, that is step 3. Now we're going to start our bird, and I am going to use the yellow for the beak. We're going to start with yellow, and I am going to use kind of a light to medium yellow for that beak. And let's see here. I'm going to switch to a larger round brush because I've got a larger area to work with. So I am going to paint the beak, but I'm going to leave that space in the tip blank there. If you go over it with paint, that's no problem. It will eventually be black, so don't worry too much about that. So I'm going to put a coat of straight yellow on here. And you may notice that your yellow is somewhat transparent. So I'm going to add a little bit of white to my yellow. And now I'm going to come back in. I'm going to go over this top part for sure so that you cannot see the lines. And now what I'm going to do, while this yellow is still nice and wet, is I'm going to wipe off my brush. I don't need to wash it, and I'm going to dip right in the white, and I'm going to give him a nice highlight right at the top of his bill. Wipe off my brush. Next we're going into orange. I don't need to wash off my brush because orange and yellow play nicely together. I am going to fill in the bottom of his bill here. With this orange. Now I did go over that edge just slightly where the yellow was so that I am sure to hide the line, the tracer line. And then what I'm going to do here is just add a touch of this raw sienna from earlier on my brush. I'm going to wipe it off. I don't want a lot, but I am just going to blend a little bit down here at the bottom of the bill as shadowing. It's almost not noticeable. You can add a little more if you'd like. Next, I'm going to go down to a smaller brush. And what we're going to do is, I'm going to go back to my deep yellow here. I am going to paint the perimeter of the eye. So it's a triangular shape here. And I'm going to do that with my deep yellow. Wipe off my brush, and I'm going to take a pinch of chrome orange, and I'm going to mix it with maybe 2 parts of this yellow. I want to lighten the orange a little bit, and I am just going to blend in a little bit of that orange around that edge of the triangle, just for shading, variation of color. And if you overmix, of course, you can always just go back in with yellow in the center there. Then we are going to add some color in here. I don't know what you would call this part of the bird, but I call it his chin feathers, right? So I'm going to get some titanium white, and I'm going to paint this whole section of his chin here with titanium white. I'm going to go back to my light yellow. If you've got dark yellow left, that's fine too. Just mix it with a bit of white. And then I've got some on my brush, and I am going to follow this curve and just kind of blend it in. So I did a few strokes with my brush. I'm going to wipe it off. So I'm in here with no paint or color on my brush, and I'm just going to follow that pattern, follow that shape, and just blend that out a little bit. So he's got a little bit of yellowing on his chin feathers there. That is absolutely perfect. Now we're going to move into the darkest areas of the bird, and the trick to this is we are going to do blue, black, and then blue again. It's difficult to mix colors with black since it's such a deeply pigmented color. So for this, we're going to do some color mixing to get the blue that we want. So I am going to need some phthalo blue. And we've got phthalo green here. And I've got a bunch of white left over, so I'm just going to use the white that I've got here. So I'm going to mix phthalo blue, phthalo green in with that white to create kind of a light blue. I want it to be a light to medium blue shade. So I'm going to work section by section, but the process is going to be the same. So I am going to add a little bit of this blue here, and the blue is going to serve as the highlight to the black, okay? And then I'm going to add a little bit of blue right there on the bill. And then up here on his head. So I'm going to wipe that off. I'm going to come in with straight carbon black. I'm going to fill in the space. The blank space that I have not yet painted, I'm going to fill with black. Wipe off my brush, and I'm going to come back in with this blue. Blend it in with the black just a little bit. And you'll see it doesn't take very long for that black to take over. So we just follow the same process on those other sections. blue. Once we add in the black. And then blue again. You can always crisp up that black if you want to. Totally your call. We are going to do the same process on the wings. Get to the wings, I can kind of blend with a more feathery kind of motion there. Chest. In this part, it's okay to keep it nice and feathery. We've got this last wing here. What I like to do when I'm done with this black on this section is just clean it up a little bit, clean up those lines. All right. for the tail, we have a large section of black right here. I'm going to work in sections for the tail because that helps distinguish them as individual feathers. So this first one, we are doing all black. This one is the most shadowed. Black in with this blue up here. I'm going to come through and add another wing. And so it kind of turned into this grayish color. Which is fine. And then to the grayish color, what I want to do is add a little of that blue. So at this point, I'm out of my light blue, so I just need to remix some. So that was titanium white, phthalo blue, and phthalo green. Try to get this while it's still wet. So I'm going to add a little bit of blue on that side, and then I'm going to come in with my black on this side. And you kind of want them to just mix and meet in the middle here, with that gray being the primary color. A little more of this blue-gray for the next feather, and we've got 4 here, so each one just gets a little bit lighter. This time I'm just going to mix in the blue with the gray. I don't need any of that black. Unless you want to just add a pinch to kind of darken the edge between those 2 feathers. And then we've got our last feather, which is the most gray. Cover up that gray with a big stroke of blue and be done with it. And there's a section right here under the bird, the bottom of his belly. You don't want to forget about that. So if you've got that little triangle there under his feet, just go ahead and fill that in. I'm just using kind of a dark gray or gray black right there for that little section. Easy peasy. You can go through and if you've got your your Mars black, I'm just going to go darken some of the blackest areas. And that that is because the blackest blacks and the whitest whites really set off the colors for us. We need to go back in there and touch up some black. That is absolutely fine. Forget the last little peak of black is right here by the eye. So we want to fill in the eye with black. And the very last thing that we need to do is paint in this guy's feet. There is one more little part, but right now we're going to do the feet. So I need phthalo green, phthalo blue, and I am not really going to mix any white in there. I just want straight green and straight blue. Mine is a little thick since I had some art paint. I had some paint that was thinner and some that was thicker, so I needed to thin mine down just a bit. We're just going to paint those feet in there. We want them to be a nice bright blue. And then just to really make him look alive, we need the tiniest little speck of titanium white, and we're just going to add it right up here like a reflection in the eye. And that is it, art friends. This is our tropical toucan. So now is the part where I pull up my tape. If you don't use tape, you are finished. Just sign your piece. I'm going to pull my tape off and then sign it. But there you have it. Tropical toucan.